From the true home of motorsport in North America, we find ourselves at Watkins, Glen, just on the outskirts of New York, a circuit which is one of the more unusual, old-fashioned. It's been the classic scene of many great of the F1, NASCAR, IndyCar and multiple world championships from all over the globe. And it's a circuit which encourages fast driving. It's all about attack. There's lots of sweeping hairpins, lots of tight chicanes, and also lots of very long, fast straights. So definitely the kind of circuit where you really get rewarded for being tight, concise and accurate. Brought to you live courtesy of XRL Racing League here on exclusively on twitch.tv. I am Pete Marcroft and we're going to be live in the box for the next 2 hours. And once again, good evening to you all. You've got a studio camera on, so you can all get your comments in on the studio stream. We'll do all we can to get through them. So right on the board at the moment with a returning Unique Talent who won off screen at Donington Park, the third race of the season, which I missed because I was only just back from a trip to Thailand. So needless to say, Unique Talent's got a lot of pace and a lot of power. Definitely a driver who brings a lot potentially to the league. It'll be interesting to see if he can actually deliver the pace. But we do have some more faster drivers on roads, of course. Unique Talent driving in the Mercedes SLS. One of the cars which has got quite a lot of power and a lot of speed to it. But it's also a car that's got a higher centre of gravity. It's got a higher weight. It's got a wider body. So that might make it a bit of a nuisance when you go through the likes of the S's and the toe hairpin. But at the same time, it's also going to throw a more aerodynamic turbulent air for the guys behind to really take advantage and find themselves being able to get up towards the top sense of the podium. So if I bring this to the first car that nicknamed the 90, kicking up the inside curb there, almost unsettling the car as it goes to the inside, manages to arrest a little bit of power, heading into the sweepers at turns 2, 3 and 4. Very easy to go sighting because those curves on the left are very much a sheer bend and it's very easy to find your car thrown into the wall, kind of like riding on the Nordschleife at the Nürburgring with how close those barriers are. Then we're into the S's. Look at the width there, very tight drift, and he skips over the inside. Possibly got all 4 tyres off there. Definitely not the start that Unique Talent needed, but he's got a good run down through this very long carousel corner. Again, very similar to Nordschleife in many ways. It's cambered so deeply, the car at an angle around about 30 degrees on the gradient, going into the second sector, down the straight towards the boot. What a name for a corner. I'm going to give you the boot. Gets the power down nice and early from the middle of the corner. Unique Talent there, rocking the camera on the outside, going right to the edge there, kicking the brakes actually. I think he almost had to get the car back under control. He struggled so hard with that. We'll remain on board with the returning driver just to see how fast he is as he goes the first one on the circuit. Looking at the split times at the moment, he's on 29.2, but behind him, Bobby Swagger at 29.0, Maldovic at 29.8, Kentucky Racer at 29.8, and Unique Talent at 29.0. So lots of guys all very close together, all in that magic 29 board at this time. So let's ride up, we're going over the outside again. We're going a bit too close to the edge, into the final curve. Going to try and use as much of this outside rumble strip as possible. It narrows at the edge towards the wall. You have to bring the car back into line. But Unique Talent breaks the bees on a 1:41.9. Magnificent track like that time there from him. Killer Ramsey in the RUF for second on a 1:42.2, and then Kentucky Racer a 43.8, so way back. System Fleet in the Jetta G55 on a 1:44.5, Football Racing a 47.1, Vickers F1 on a 47.8, and then Maldovic's just about to break the beams now with the McLaren MP4-12C goes 7th on a 1:44.8. So lots of pace differential thus far. While Nick Zero Lick, one of the faster drivers, is managed to be recruited, driving in the BMW M3. A bit of an animal machine this, but it's got a lot of power. And we saw the likes of Andy Prio use this beautifully at last year's Le Mans 24 Hours. So it's definitely the kind of car that you can really make a first impression in. Nick Zero Lick taking his first ever race. Try saying that name 3 times very quickly. What are the names we got now? I'm going to Nick from now on. Heading down towards the boots, getting a good tow from Unique Talent here. And Unique Talent will not want to drag that car behind him because that overspeed can make a big difference. But look at the turbulent air there, pretty close to the wall as he really struggled to get the power arrested out of that hairpin turn into the toe. Again, being distracted by that red Mercedes SLS, the BMW M5 and Nick not finding this easy, and behind them is Killer Ramsey in the RUF, who's watching on board here just to see the live, trying to see if he can possibly learn some recon from these about the best way to get the live. Janine Talent going into the grass a little bit there, so get a bit of an extra speed around the corner. He's in no hurry, and I think he might actually be going to set another time, so I'll find out what it is in the moment on the board. But Nick Zero Lick coming towards the finish line. Nice toe for Janine Talent, and he goes a 41.509. Wow! What a time! 41.8 from Killer Ramsey and a 41.9 for Janine Talent, a 42.2 from Bagamo, but he's just about to cross the line again here. Let's see if he can make any improvement. No, he hasn't. A 42.6 from Kentucky Racer and Bobley Swagger, a 43.7, and he does not improve. The winner at Mount Panorama Bathurst is really finding it tough here, and Ace Killer 15 down in 7th place after being on the podium at Silverstone last week out. Really finding this difficult here. A 143.7 is the best he's got so far in the McLaren MP4-12C. He improves to a 143.3, getting up to 6th place on the podium at the moment. Meanwhile, Football 676-1 just started another lap and done a 43.6 and a 44.5 for Assistant Flint. Keeps him in 9th place and a 44.8 from Maldovic VF1 in the McLaren MP4-12C. Rounds out the top 10. Vickers a 46.6 in the 11th, and Flipper Racing a 47.1 in the BMW. Bacon Bonds has yet to set a lap time in the McLaren MP4-12C, so we'll remain on board here just to see how fast he can go. He needs to make a big impression, Bacon Bonds. Had a few shaky races of late, not really had the power, not really had the accuracy to get himself towards the points, and he definitely needs to change that if he's going to find himself getting closer to the positions in the championship. As we round up towards the final 4 races of the season here at Watkins, and goes 11th on a 145.9, so not a bad start from him. Meanwhile, Kentucky Racer is on a 42.6 at the moment in 5th place. He's just going into the second sector now, a nice drift there as he goes around the carousel. So he's definitely trying to put that BMW Z4 to maximum attack here. If you are watching this live on the stream here on twitch.tv live, the chat box is open. Please get your comments in. For those of you watching this on the YouTube channel on the recast, get them in the comments box. Find out if you've got any suggestions for the league. Next week we are going to be at Suzuka in Japan for the final of the normal races. We have a gap of a week before we go to the 2 blue ribbon events. Firstly, the Nürburgring Nordschleife. We're doing 9 laps of that as far as I know. So that's going to be a long race. It doesn't sound it with that single figures. But while a lap time takes over 7 minutes, it's going to be a while. And then the final race of the season is a double points affair, and it's going to be a 2-hour-long race at the Circuit de la Sarthe at the Le Mans circuit in France. Precursor to the Le Mans 24 hours as Kentucky Racer does not improve. Bagamo, meanwhile, in the BMW Z4, he's about to start the second sector. A 42.1 from him. Good enough for 4th place at the moment. It's a good 0.6 of a second down. We saw today's F1 qualifying that a second got you 4th place, so it just shows that this field's a little tighter at the moment than the real life F1 field. And for those of you who watched the World Endurance round at Spa last week, you will have seen a car break where Porsche, Toyota could have both won the race, ended up having engine problems, suspension problems, hydraulics, you name it, it all happened, and that allowed Audi to fall over the line to take technically their second victory, considering they actually won the race at Silverstone before being disqualified due to an infringement with their car's plank. Naughty boys. So Bagamo has slowed down horribly on the second sector. I get the feeling he's aborted. Janine Talent, meanwhile, has got his creased bumper really badly here as he starts a lap on a 141.9 at the moment. Killer Ramsey sticking in the pits. He's on a 41.8, but look at this. Nick Zero Lick in a BMW M3 at 141.5. Really high pace for the BMW driver, and what a first impression to make. Coming here in a car that's unfancied in a league that's been dominated by Killer Ramsey. Bang! I'm in 1st place. Catch me if you can. We want to see more of that. So definitely the kind of situation we're looking for moving forward here in Excite Racing League. And after the brewskis of last week, I've decided to switch to the more refined wines of Chile for this weekend. I miss my beer. So going into the final sector, Nick Zero Lick. I'm not sure if this is actually a lap time. Let's get the lap time screens up just to find out. Very slow one. He's in the 32, so I don't think he's going to be making any improvement here. Configuration on 42.6, no real improvement from him. Ace Killer, meanwhile, 43.3 down in 6th place. Let's ride the ball with a McLaren MP4-12C driver to see if he gets any closer towards the points from here. At the moment, he's right in that mid-pack, decent solid points, but after last week's podium, he'll be wanting to get himself back in the fight. He will definitely be looking to claw his way up the grid here, heading through the final sector, going through the tight hairpin after the toe. No name at this corner, unfortunately, which makes it very difficult. Into the, oh, again, I think he's backed off. All the drivers seem to be going very, very slowly out of there. And indeed, I think this is either an outlet or yet another aborted one. Meanwhile, football 67601 does not improve. He's on a 43.6 Maldevic, meanwhile. Bottom end of the post, so might as well ride on board here, get some coverage to the McLaren MP4-12C driver coming down towards the boot. A little bit of a kick on the side there. He really struggled to keep the power down as he went into that corner. Goes to the outside line. Oh, a bit snaky there. I'm not sure if this is lag or not, the car. And he's actually got his windscreen wipers going for some bizarre reason. It's completely dry out here at Watkins Glen, but there is an expectation of possible rain. Maybe he wants to make sure his motors work. I don't know. Never seen that before. That's going to be draining horsepower from the engine and losing him lap time. He needs to change that, really. So far on a decent lap, 29.7 for the first sector and a 33.8 for the second. Let's see if he gets any closer to the front runners here through the final curve. 44.3 is his best thus far. Windscreen wipers are a wash, but who cares? A 144.0, he finds 3/10, but he does not improve. He'll be disappointed by that. Meanwhile, football 676-1 once again does not make any time up here. Ace Killer is on a slow down lap, so let's ride on board with Pagavo. A 29.4 for Sector 1. Possibly a good start this for him. He's been a good driver for far, Pagavo. Not quite been able to get close to the podium points, but he's always been there, right on the fringe, if the drivers make a mistake. So don't count Pagavo out in the BMW Z4. It's the kind of track that might reward his style of driving. Heading towards the boot and the toe. Again, missing the apex bit on the inside there is actually throwing him very, very wide indeed. I'm not sure if that's gaining him any grip whatsoever. Heading out towards the edge, it's not be any closer here. Really having to get a second bite of that corner because it tightens so much. It looks like a nice sweep away, you can lift off, and then suddenly you've got a pretty much 90 degrees sharp to your left out of absolutely nowhere, which makes it really, really difficult. Into the final corner, right in the camber well. Bagamo heading for the start-finish line. Is this going to be an improvement on the 42.1? No, it isn't. No improvement from Bagamo. He stays 4th place though. Meanwhile, Killer Ramsey on a 41.8. Just heading down towards the start of the lap now by the looks of things. Indeed, he's actually no, it's coming towards the end of his lap. I do apologise, the viewers. It looked like he was going to the 90-degree corner at the start of the lap there. So, coming out on boot, heading towards the final sector. Look how close to that tyre wall he got there. Really shaving the grass on the outside. Killer Ramsey in the RUF, under threat of being on the bottom step of the podium here. Oh, look, kicks the butt. Wales a bit too close to the curb there. Goes over the outside. That's lost considerable traction. Down to the final corner. Down towards the start-finish line. 141.8 is his best. He does not improve. There's only 1 minute 45 seconds left. He might just get around if he's got enough fuel in it. Oh, he's got awful tyres on the outside. I think that's going to slow his car automatically there, and indeed it does. Meanwhile, Nick Zero Lick, he's just going straight into the pits. He's not even bothering. And Janine Talent is stuck into pole position by 4/1000ths of a second. My God, that is mightily close. These two drivers are literally an inch apart on the podium there. That's insane! Unbelievably close. Bagamo, meanwhile, in the BMW Z4. Looking at the split times, he's done a slight improvement here. So let's see if he can knock into the 141s. If he can possibly put Killer Ramsey on the threat here and make himself start from that critical 3rd position. Ooh, a little bit of tail slip on the outside of that curve there. Manages to avoid flipping the tyres though on the outside rumble strip. That really gives him a chance through the final bend. Hugs the middle of the circuit. Heading for the start-finish line. Is he going to improve? No, he's not. So that is it for Bagamo. He is going to be 4th. Kentucky Racers in the box. So is Ace Killer. 94001, meanwhile, is just going through the end of Sector 1 now. He's not going to make it round. He's not going to be able to finish his lap. Probably Smarter in the pits. In fact, a lot of drivers have gone into the pits here. So, running down the order very quickly. In pole position, Janine Challet on a 141.504. Second place, Nick Zero Lick on a 141.509. That is so close. Third place, Kellen Ramsey at 41.8. Fourth place, Pagano at 42.1. Finishing Racer at 42.2. Fifth place, sixth place, Ace Cole 15 on 42.3. Then you got 94001 42.9 in seventh place. Lovely Smarter 43.4. He'll be disappointed with that in the Audi in eighth place. Then down in ninth, we've got Football 67611, who's the BMW Z4 on a 143.6. Then you got Maldovic VH1 in the McLaren MP1-12C. He's on a 44.0. Then we've got 44.5 for Sister Flint in the Jetta G55 Football Racing on a 45.3. Bacon Boss a 45.7, and rounding off the positions, Vickers in a 46.6. So you're going to be seeing me going straight to the box when we get started. We've got a 5-minute warm-up session now. Last real reconnaissance laps available here for these drivers to actually find themselves some kind of reference point. That's assuming anyone's even going to go out. One of the drivers has just left there. Let's see if we can find who that is and get on board. Looks like Maldovic VH1 is currently the man on the front in the McLaren MP4-12C. So we'll ride aboard with him for now. Say this is an unofficial lap, doesn't really give us any positional play. It's just that final chance for these drivers to read the conditions, read the canvas, read the curves. How close can you put those tyres to the wall? How much pace can you take through the S's? Can you put a little extra width on opposite lock through the carousel? All these final questions that you can answer here at Watkins and New York. And then from there, it's going to be to the race. We're going to be live and exclusive on twitch.tv, courtesy of Excite Racing League. This is the PlayStation 4 GT3 division, round 10. After this, next week we will be at Suzuka, aka Sakato, in Japan for the final race of the regular season. And then we have a week break before the two blue ribbon events, the first of which is the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And then finally, it's the extended stream, which is on June 11th, 1 week before the official 24 Hours of Le Mans. The Excite Racing League does a special extended stream at the Circuit de la Sarthe for one final hurrah, double points, it's all out attack. And if you're out there watching on the stream at the moment, your chat box is open. You get your comments into me here, Swishbone. I'll do my best to get them read out and get some interaction going. Unfortunately, very few drivers are actually out getting much reconnaissance at the moment. Kellen Ramsey, the fastest of them, so we'll ride on board with him at this time as he heads into the S's, really pushing that inside curve there at the second corner, riding as much of it as he can, trying to straight line that corner. The danger with that though is you'll go so straight it compromises your entry into the third corner of the S's. You've really got to get that right. Into the downhill carousel where the camber goes away from you, rides that beautifully towards the outside curve there. Kellen Ramsey has been the absolute barometer of accuracy and pace here in the GT3 division on the PlayStation 4 thus far for Excite Racing League. Going to the outside, kicking on the marbles, he actually dared to dip his tyres into that narrow, cigarette paper thin, extra bit of AstroTurf on the outside, managed to keep the car on the island, heading into tow. Braking very early here. I don't think he's actually really pushing the car. He's just treating this as a recon lap. Of course, in 2 minutes, we're going to be going to the race proper. There will be one formation lap, and then after that, 22 laps of Watkins, Glen, New York. One of the classic circuits. We've seen so many great drivers duel here. The likes of Niki Lauda, the likes of James Hunt, the likes of Jody Scheckter. They've all raced here. In the NASCAR, you have the likes of Jeff Gordon. You've had so many great drivers who've really been able to put the pace down here at Watkins Glen in New York. But a great opportunity now. Kellen Ramsey, he's got a chance to set a very quick lap here just to prove that he's got the pace, just to prove that he's on position to really take advantage. Heading up through the heading up through the first section. Kind of like the sweepers before the S's at the end of sector 1. Killer Ramsey, car as tight to the outside line as he dares, goes to the inside curve, clips that beautifully, gets a beautiful slingshot into the second corner. Goes a bit too deep into the fourth turn though, right too much of the curb. Enters into the downhill sweeper. Really good camber there. You can see the car getting almost like it's on a roller coaster track with the way it tilted into the downhill carousel, where you get the opposite version of this, very, very tight, with the barriers on outside corner left and right. It's very similar in many ways to the Nordschleife. You go on the circuit, there's not much runoff, and you're going to find yourself causing damage, going through the boot, kicking as wide as you can, again kissing the outside, way for a bit extra of runoff on the outside. Really good drive from Keller Ramsey. A textbook lap thus far. Heading into toe. Getting a bit shaky in the braking there as he's got one of the BMW Z4s. I think that's football 67611 ahead of him. He's got to make sure that car doesn't interfere with his lap really as we head into the final part of the sector. And you can see how much that corner tightens up there. That runoff really catches you out with the tyres. And Keller Ramsey likes to go close to the edge of the curb here. Manages to avoid kicking the tyres off the ground, so he's got maximum grip through the final curve, uses the road as much as he dares, heading for the start-finish line with 4 seconds to go. He might just beat the clock here, and a 42.1, slightly slower than his qualifying time, but good race pace. Definitely what he's going to be wanting to deliver for the rest of the broadcast here, live and exclusive on twitch.tv, Excite Racing League on the PlayStation 4. We're going to be doing one final formation lap before we send ourselves onto the grid, and it will be 22 laps of flat-out racing. If you're not here, make sure you enjoy it. After this, I will retire into the pit box and I'm bringing you live, uninterrupted coverage. Make sure you're all ready to watch this. It's going to be an epic race. We've got 2 new drivers in Janine Talent and Nick Zero Lick, who've got a real pace on them at the moment. Janine Talent won at Donington Park in his one and only real appearance. Keller Ramsey, who's been on an absolute mighty run of authority thus far, has been really taking this aggressive and really looking to dominate this league. However, he's under pressure here, so let's move through the field now. We've got Janine Talent in the Mercedes SLS leading the stake. Nick Zero Lick in the BMW M3, and we've got Keller Ramsey in the RUF behind him. Pagavo in the BMW Z4. Kentucky Racer in one of the newer BMW Z4s. In the 6th place, we've got Ace Keller 15 in the McLaren MP4-12C. Then we have Night 4001 in the second of the RUS, being caught up by the slow pace as Janine Talent's not allowing this to be a flat-out drive here. He wants these drivers bunched together as much as possible. Bobby Swagger in the Audi R8 LMS is in 8th place. Then in 9th, we've got Football 67611. 10th place, Barnavic VCH1 in the McLaren MP4-12C. System Flame meanwhile in the Soul Genetic G55. A driver who's really under the cosh here as that car's an absolute animal to drive. 12th place, Flipper Racing in the BMW Z4. Then we've got Bacon Bonds in the McLaren MP4-12C. And rounding off the field, we've got Vickers VF1. So let's get up towards the front here. We're going to ride up with Kevin Ramsey at the start in the RUF. He's in the proud position to really show us some all-out racing. We go through the boots and look how close Nick Zero Lick is sticking to Janine Talent. He's not allowing the Mercedes SLS to get away from him on this formation lap. He's all about getting as close as possible. Bugamo in the BMW Z4 has strategically fell back a little bit, maybe trying to protect his tyres a bit from a little extra wear caused by the hot air coming off them. In towards the final sector now. This is the opportunity for these drivers to get one final look at the edge. After this, once we go around these final 2 corners, we are going to be racing here live and exclusive on twitch.tv. You might have us the rerun on YouTube, so it's lights out and away we go. Janine Talent of Mercedes SLS bolts quickly, but behind him Nick Zero Lick follows, and Keller Ramsey getting deep into the toe of the BMW M3 to the first corner in a 90-degree bend. Bergamo in the BMW C4 takes a little bit of a lunge now and gets away with that. Gets a much better drive up the corner than Keller Ramsey, getting right into the slipstream. Meanwhile, further back, we've got a bit of a scrap going on. Bobby Swagger in 8th place, got Football 67611, being chased by Maldovic, and then behind him, System Flint in the Ginetta G55. We're going to scroll back towards the leaders here as Keller Ramsey is under big pressure from Bergamo. He's taking a look into the S's, but he's just not able to find the route through. Meanwhile, look at this, Bergamo trying to go on the inside. Oh my God, this would be a great move around the outside of the carousel. And Keller Ramsey is forced offline a little bit there by the pressure that Bergamo has got him under. Behind them, meanwhile, you've got Nick Zero Lick pressuring the back of Janine Talent, and following them quickly behind these guys is Kentucky Racer in the BMW BMW Z4. These drivers are all very, very close indeed. Bergamo flashing his headlights into the boots. Killer Ramsey goes a little bit deep there. That's allowed Bergamo to get deeper into the slipstream. He's going to have a great opportunity, and these 5 drivers are broken clear of Ace Killer 15, who's winning his 6th place out of the moment. Bergamo looking at the back of Killer Ramsey, who's trying to catch up to the back of Nick Zero Lick. 5 drivers are very close together, and on the front, Janine Talon has not yet been able to break away. These drivers are all so close at the moment. Bergamo deep in the slipstream, heading towards the penultimate corner of the lap, trying to get a look on the back of Killer Ramsey in the RUF. But up ahead, you've also got the battle for the leaders. Nick Zero Lick is not letting Janine Talon get away from him. These 2 drivers, who are very much newbies apart from Janine, who's won at Donington Park, are really putting on a masterclass. They've already broken a bit of a gap away from Killer Ramsey. This is really good driving thus far from the leaders. Behind them, Bergamo is really impressing me at the moment. He's keeping the power down, he's keeping the pace in position, and really attacking the back of that Mercedes SLS. A little bit of a gap there as Janine Talon has a better line through the sweepers and all the essays. This is a critical part of the lap as all the drivers do as much as they can. Oh, Nick Zero Lick may have cut the corner there. That might get him in trouble with the stewards if he does that one too many times. But thus far, he's keeping the pressure on Janine Talon. These guys are all very, very close. Back behind them, let's get back to Killer Ramsey, being pressured by Bergamo in the BMW Z4. Field started to spread that little bit at the moment, the pace slowly falling away. But Bergamo is not intimidated behind Killer Ramsey in the RUF, heading into the boot. There's a better line there. Compromised on the exit by the turbulent air, but he gets the power down nice and quickly. The BMW Z4 evidently liking the higher fuel, evidently liking the fresher tyres, and Killer Ramsey in the RUF is really struggling to break away at this moment in time. Meanwhile, Janine Talon has not got away. Taking a quick look at the lap times, there are 42.6 from Janine Talon, Nick 42.5, then we've got Killer Ramsey at 43.2, and a 43.1 from Bergamo, and a 43.0 from Kentucky Racer. Despite that, they're barely far behind the 2 leaders. They're taking so much pace out of each other, it's backing them back into the field. Bergamo and the BMW Z4 looking at the back of Killer Ramsey in the RUF, getting a decent line into the inside of the 90-degree turn at the start. Who knows if we're going to get rain here? There's no cloud cover at the moment, so that's not yet come about. Nick Zero Lick into the sweepers with the BMW Z4 in the BMW 5, getting a decent line there, really attacking those curves, daring to clip the inside raised bollards, trying to avoid clipping the car, but getting as much pace out of the curve into the S's. Oh, touring car rescue, the way he attacked that. It was almost like he was driving at Knock Hill rather than here at Watkins Glen with the way he kicked that curb and dared his car into 2 wheels. Majestic stuff. Moving further back through the field, we'll try and get a bit of coverage towards the back guys at the moment because the action up front is so close. Ace Killer's got a little bit of a gap on Night 4001. Then behind him is Bobley Slager in the Audi R8 LMS. Football 676 1. At the foot of the points, meanwhile, Maldovic is under big pressure here as System Flint in the Ginetta G55 wrestles that car animalistically through the corners, down through the carousel, into the boot. He's lost a lot of time there, and evidently Maldovic is able to break away at the moment. Bobley Slager in a little bit of pressure from Football 676 1. 94001 meanwhile attacking the back of Ace Killer 15. Then you got Kentucky Racer who's fallen away a little bit from Bergamo, and then you got Killer Ramsey who's still being chased and hounded by the BMW Z4 driver. He's not being let go at all. Oh, but Bergamo got very, very wide there, and that might restrict his speed potentially with in-game penalty. Oh, he almost went into the wall there. He was rail riding. Bergamo's really on the attack here. And meanwhile, Nick Zero Lick right on board with the leaders as he's really close to the back of Janine Talon, going for the 90, heading over the outside, going all 4 tyres onto the curb, really daring the car to lose its grip. Janine Talon, the Mercedes SLS, will not be used to this level of pressure. He's got Nick all over his chuff. These 2 drivers right at the foot of the 42s in their lap time here at Watkins Glen, live and exclusive on twitch.tv, courtesy of Excite Racing League. This is the GT3 Division PlayStation 4. I hope you're all enjoying this, because right now it's been an all-out attack here. Well, the fact of the matter is that the drivers, no matter how close they've got to each other, just haven't been able to get side by side to get to that overtake. But you get the feeling it's going to be a matter of if rather than when. Downhill towards the boots, looking at Nick Zero licking that BMW M3, getting the lights flare and the luncheon bottle. Janine Tyler gets a little bit out of shape, going into the middle of the hairpin. That might open the door. Indeed it does. He was almost side by side with Nick Zero lick, going on towards the toe, closer he's ever been. Takes a look around the outside for a potential switchback move here. Janine Tyler is really feeling the pressure now, and if these two drivers get tussled up in a move, this might bring Killer Ramsey and Bergamo back into the mix here. Heading through the final two corners, this is really close, really aggressive stuff. All the drivers taking it very, very slowly. Bergamo going a little out of shape at the edge there as Killer Ramsey is now starting to catch up. Wait a minute! There's spots forming on the camera lens. We've got rain. There is rain here at Watkins, Glen. Unbelievable. This is going to really throw the candles to pigeons. We've only been racing for 3 laps and already it's a test of who can cope better with the slightly changeable conditions. As Nick Zero Lit takes a little bit of a cheeky look into the 90. Janine Talon, the Mercedes SLS, really under pressure now as he goes to the outside curve. Nick Zero Lit riding that a little better. Evidently the BMW M3 able to cope with that little bit more accurately, going through the sweep as Nick Zero Lit dragging Killer Ramsey and Bergamo as those spots get more frequent on the camera through the sweepers before the S's, and this is definitely going to start affecting the track grip levels very shortly indeed. All the drivers sticking the rear out over the edge there as they go through the S's, kicking the curb, putting the car on 2 wheels, but so far somehow managed to keep it under control through the carousel, getting into the slipstream as high as possible. Nick Zero Lick and Janine Talon have been separated by maybe it's Janine Talon. It's possibly under pressure here as Nick tries to go around the outside. That'd be incredibly brave. He's just not got the traction, but Janine Talon is absolutely under threat here. He's driving like he's on ice. He's really struggling to get through these curves. Janine Talon is going to be really under pressure into the toe here as behind the Nick Zero licking the BMW M3 is absolutely all over him. This is unbelievable driving. Going to the outside curb, kicking the outside edge as Killer Ramsey is dragging Bergamo on, but all eyes at the moment are on Nick Zero Lick as the rain is really coming down now into sector 3, and you get the feel the drivers are all going to be going into the pits. Killer Ramsey almost into the wall there, he lost so much grip, and going at Nick Zero Lick off the circuit. These guys can't be expected to keep this on the island, they're going to have to box. No, they decide to stay out. Unbelievable. Killer Ramsey's boxed early. Killer Ramsey has decided to go for it to see if he's going to gain any time here. But look at this, Nick Zero Lick really liking these conditions, really liking the risk that it brings, the high risk, high reward. Janine Talon in the Mercedes SLS is looking all out of shape. He's looking all out of talent. This is the opportunity now for Nick Zero Lick to attack. Through the sweepers for the S's. Nick Zero Lick really on the attack here, turning the screw as much as he can on Janine Talon. Janine Talon kicks the outside curve as best as he dares, and Nick follows him through. The rain is coming down, but there's no spray, and the drivers thus far have still been able to keep it very, very tight indeed. This is incredible stuff, and the lap times have fallen. They're back in the 44s and the 45s, side by side through the carousel. Nick Zero Lick fancying an opportunity there, but it's just not close enough. Such a great opportunity here. These drivers are all out attack into the boots, and look at Nick Zero Lick. This is like we're watching a NASCAR race rather than a GT race. They're so close, and they've been this way pretty much non-stop from the lights. Heading into the toe, it's a great opportunity for Nick Zero Lick as Bergamo watches from behind. Bit of contact between Janine Talon and Nick Zero Lick there. I don't know if that's because the rain lost traction. Going into the third from last corner, kick of flame as all the drivers are tiptoeing around there. There's so little grip in sector 3. Now the question is, has Killer Ramsey stolen a march on these guys? Looking at the split times, he did a 1:22. That's including his pit stop. Now it's a question of whether he's gained anything. Janine Talon is in the box, but Nick Zero Lick has stayed out, and so has Bergamo. Well, this is interesting. Let's see if these guys will be able to make a move here. You got Pagamo behind Killer, behind Nick Zero, like Janine Talent in third place, Kentucky Racer in fourth has come in. As has Ace Killer behind in football 6-7-6-1. System Flynn in the Ginetta, the G55. Halsey kept that on the island in the rain. And Halsey had the bravery to carry on. Wow, this is really good. 94001 is in the pits, and so is Baldovic. Bubbly Swagger's coming into the pits now, so is Slipper Racing. So Vickers, VF1, and look at Killer Ramsey, who's only just coming around the final sector. Then you got Bacon Bonds, and then me, retired in the box. So, where's Janine Talent? That's the key question here, because I think Janine Talent may have stolen a huge march in Killer. Indeed he has. He's miles ahead of Killer Ramsey. Absolutely miles ahead. Janine Talent has come out way in front of him. Kentucky Racing off the circuit. He struggled to get the grip down and has retired back to the pit lane. Well, that's interesting. Then we got Ace Killer in football 6-7-6-1. Janine Talent in fourth place, snaking and squabbling. System Flynn now running in third place in the Ginetta G55 because he decided to stay out. But we got the perplexing scenario where the sun is out. Will the track dry very quickly if the rain stops? As Pagamo looks at the back of Nick Zero, look, who's getting even more out of shape here. And you get the feeling these guys have got a box now, because if they don't, they're going to lose too much time behind Janine Talent. Riding above him at the moment, he's just coming up to the boots, so he's actually not that far behind these guys. I think Janine Talent has called this absolutely perfectly and might find himself going way into the lead here. Nick Zero hooks the inside line. Indeed, he's taking the pits, and so is Pagamo. Now, System Flint is being followed very quickly by Janine Talent in a Mercedes SLS. So it's a question now, let's round the ball with Janine Talent to see if he's going to come out ahead of these guys. Is he going to retain the lead? Looking at the track map, a couple of guys are leaving the pits, but it's not the leaders. The leaders are not there, and I think Janine Talent has called this absolutely beautifully here, because he's coming around the pit wall now. He's back into third place already, and he's already back into the lead. Now coming out of the 90 corner, how much closer has that got him away from the back of Nick? It's got him a little bit of a gap, but not by much. He's only just beaten the BMW driver. The big loser here is Pagamo. Pagamo's fallen way off the back of these guys. Now Nick Zero on colder tyres, but I get the feeling this rain might stop very quickly here because the sunshine is back out. The rain's falling, it's finding it difficult, but it's still enough for the drivers to attack. And going through the S's, and you can see that Nick feels so much more accurate, so much more planted. He's able to take that corner much tighter than Janine Talent. Janine Talent is finding it much trickier. Going through the carousel down towards the boot, and the spray being kicked up is quite thin at the moment. It's not that heavy, despite the rain falling down. The drivers are just not close enough to attack. They're not losing enough grip. Just going to take a brief fall away from this as Ace Killer has found himself under pressure for a football 6-7-6-1 in the BMW Z4, and behind them, well, look at this, Killer Ramsey. He's down in 6th place in the RUF. He's really lost out by going into the pits. Whoa! Oh, Killer Ramsey into the wall. I don't think he's damaged his car, but that was so close. He managed to keep on the island, but wow! He managed to lose it under the... Whatever was it, braking? Was it unsighted? Whatever it was, he's gone into the wall and got away with that. He's very, very lucky indeed. Heading into the towers, 15 laps remain here at the Watkins Glen circuit in New York City, America, and all the drivers being very, very slow indeed through that third sector. Look how treacherous the conditions are there. It is absolutely soaking wet. And it's a question of whether these drivers have gone for intermediate or for full wet. As Pagamo watches, Nick has actually fallen away a little bit from Janine Talent, surprisingly. He's not as close as he once was. Going back through the field, Killer Ramsey in the RUF, then you got Maldovic under pressure from Bob Lee Swager in the Audi R8 LMS. So we'll ride on board here, the winner at Mount Panorama, Bathurst, Australia, down in 8th place. He won't be liking this. Windscreen wipers are wash, this time appropriately, as the water's sprayed away. If you are watching on the stream out there, please get your comments in. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy the race. And this Bob Leeswager looks to make a move on the inside of turn 90 at the first bend, and that's an easy move. He's got so much more grip than Maldovic in the McLaren MP4-12C, and that's 7th place taken for the good. Meanwhile, Flipper Racing has got System Flint in the Ginetta G55 all over the back of him. These drivers, despite being at the foot of the points, are doing all they can to put on a race. So System Flint going through the S's, doing a really good job here as he drifts that car left and right. The power and the torque in the Ginetta G55 is just too much for any man to withhold. So far he's managing it, but I'm not sure how. This is a really good effort thus far for System Flint. That vehicle, very much the animal, very difficult to drive. As he gets into the back slipstream of System Flint, down towards the boot, and he pulls out a bit to the side here. I think he might fancy possibly out-psyching and making the manoeuvre, but he just about gets away with that. Really, really close driving thus far. Meanwhile, Bob Leeswager has been passed by Maldovic just off camera. I don't quite know how that happened. Keller Ramsey's managed to get past Football 676 number 1. Ace Killer's on his own in second, third, fourth place. Bagavo in third. Oh, well, meanwhile, I don't know how this happened, but Nico has got past Unique Talent. Maybe Unique Talent made a mistake, but Nick Zero Lick is now in the lead on his debut race, just like Unique Talent did at Donington Park. So Unique Talent really not liking the rain here. His car's having a little settle for the dry, and he's lost out on the back of that M3 drive. Bagamo in third place, Ace Killer in fourth. And there's a little bit of a battle between Killer Ramsey and Football 676 number 1, but so far there is all gaps through the field as they've all settled in a bit. Maldovic's got well clear of Bob Leeswager. I don't know if Bob Leeswager went off the circuit or made an error, but that's actually dropped him into the clutches of Flipper Racing as System Flint has fallen away from him. Night 4001, he'll be kicking himself to be down in 11th place and out of the points. Bacon Bonds well at the back of the field in 12th, and then Vickers in 13th. So needless to say, let's ride and get back towards the front of the field to get more coverage. Killer Ramsey catching up very quickly to the back of Ace Killer. We're right on board here with the RUF driver to see if he can find any traction. Trying to go on the wide karting line there, trying to take a different approach, avoiding the wet rubber. Might get him a little extra grip, but thus far he's not able to close the gap. The rain is really coming down in Sector 3 here at Watkins Glen. These drivers are having to really work hard indeed for their points. 13 laps remain here on this stream, and you can see that Killer Ramsey in the RUF getting a little out of shape, getting a little wobbly as he looks at the back of Ace Killer 15. He's just not got the grip at the moment. Bagamo will be happy to be in a very solid third place on merit. Then you have Unique Talent in second, and then Nick Zero Lick, who's actually fallen slightly back to Unique Talent, but he's still a bit too far away for him to be under any serious threat at the moment. So it's definitely a case at this time of Nick being in the pound seats to hold on and take the lead and keep the win. But there's still 12 laps to go. Anything is possible. As Ace Killer 15 is now under pressure from Killer Ramsey in the RUF, going through the sweepers for the S's, and he's made a big mistake there. He's gone very wide indeed, and that's allowed a great run for Killer Ramsey, who might try and out-drag him into the S's. He goes on the inside. This is going to be mightily brave here. Gets side by side, and what a pass from Killer Ramsey! What a move going into the S's. That was fantastic. Ace Killer 15 will be kicking himself at that, but at the same time, you have to take your hat off to Killer Ramsey, managing to find the grip in the rain to take the S's at such an acute angle. Meanwhile, Bagavo is catching up to the back of Unique Talent as Nick Zero Lick gets started to pull away. Well, this is a turn off for the boxing. GT Talent has it all to prove in the Mercedes SLS. Behind him, Bergamo in the BMW Z4. Hanging on so far for a potential podium. Not quite. Oh! GT Talent's off! And he spun his round! GT Talent's made a big mistake! He's managed to avoid going into the wall, but Bergamo profits big time from that! Goes into second place. GT Talent will be furious with himself. What's that? He's going to break the beams here as his lap times are down in the 150s at 157. He lost 7 seconds as a result of that move. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, behind, unfortunately, we've got a bit of a gap here as Flipper Racing has fallen away from the back of the McLaren MP4-12C and mounted of it. H-Kill 15 is being reeled in a little bit by football. As you can see the lap times back in the 150s and 52s now. You've got Vickers trundling around in the 2-minute 4s. Unbelievably slow. But up front, 149.8 from Nick Zero Leak has gained him 0.6 of a second over Bergamo. But at the same time, Bergamo was 0.3 faster through the first sector. Bergamo is on the attack. Bergamo sniffs an opportunity here in the rain of causing an upset. But Nick Zero Leak, one of the more highly rated drivers in project cars, is not going to make it easy for him, and thus far has got a bit of a gap. GT Talent, meanwhile, starting to close back up a little bit as they go through the boots, but he'll be angry with himself for making that mistake into the carousel because Killer Ramsey, he's very much on his own. So we're round up with Ace Killer at the moment, who's gone very deep indeed, and that allows Football 67611 to start closing the gap here. BMW Z4 versus McLaren MP4-12C, heading into the boot, going a bit deep there is Ace Killer 15, so that allows Football 67611 to really get close into the attack, gets into the slipstream, despite the windscreen being full of spray, despite visibility being down to pretty much zero. He's not intimidated. Football 67611 as we enter the final 10 laps of this race here at Watkins Glen, and you can see that Football 67611 a little less sensitive than Ace Killer 15. The McLaren MP4-12C evidently not liking the wet conditions, and that's allowing Football to do the catching and potentially sniff an opportunity. Out of the final corner, Football 67611 gets a slightly better line than Ace Killer 15 in the McLaren MP4-12C. So this is a great opportunity now, heading down the straight towards the 90. Real opportunity for Football 67611 to close that gap and get himself closer to the podium. Ace Killer 15, meanwhile, had a slightly better run through the 90, and that's allowing him to break the toe for now, but it's a matter of when rather than if. Meanwhile, Killer Ramsey has got a little close to the back of Janine, but he's not that close enough at this time. Bergamo, meanwhile, fallen away from the back of the leader, Nick Zero Leak. And you can see that even though he went down to the 49.6, Nick Zero Leak a 49.4. Both drivers were 2 seconds quicker than Janine Talent. Janine Talent is really in trouble here because if Killer Ramsey starts to pull his act together, he might start threatening for that podium position. Janine Talent hanging on the Mercedes SLS. Going to run back through the field further. So you've got 5th place and 6th place, Ace Killer 15 and Football 67611 attacking as much as they dare. You've got Maldovic in 7th, 8th place, System Flint, as he's got Night 4001 who's just passed Flipper Racing, but Night 4001 has gone off at the carousel and that allows Flipper Racing to come back through. But Night 4001 will be on the attack here, side by side down to the boot. Gets into the slipstream, potential contact. 94001 goes wide. Flipper Racing cuts back underneath him. These two drivers are now trading places all the time. Let's stay on board with this. This is really exciting stuff. As we head towards the toe, 94001 in the RUF has got more pace as they are. Flipper Racing goes off into the gravel. Well, that was anticlimactic. But at the same time, 94001 went onto the grass. The grip started falling away. Have the guys won? Oh! 94001! Big contact with the wall there! Straight-lined it, aquaplane to wall there. Very lucky not to ride the car off. That will really, really have traumatised him. Here's hopefully it's just cosmetic damage. If he's caused damage to his engine, that's going to put him under pressure from Flipper Racing very soon indeed. In the pits, Keller Ramsey has gone in for a fresh pair of boots. Well, that's interesting. Sister Flint is 7th place. Maldovic in 6th. Football 67611 has fallen away a little bit from the back of Ace Keller 15. Ace Keller 15 now enjoying being nearer the front as you got Nick Zero Lick in 3rd place. Janine Talent is 2nd and Bagavo way out in 1st. So Nick evidently went into the pits. Obviously the drivers are feeling the conditions have changed and the time is right now to get the different tyres on. Nick Zero Lick so far keeping it on the island, so the question remains, is Janine Talent and Bagavo going to go for the pits here? Bagavo's at the final corner. Does he hook the inside line? Yes he does. Behind him meanwhile we've got one of the McLarens that's going through. In 2nd place we've got Janine Talent in the Mercedes SLS. Is he hooking the inside line? No, he's not. He's gone through. Janine Talent has decided to carry on. So meanwhile, behind him, Nick Zero looking at the BMW M3. We're looking to get past Bagavo to get back into 2nd place. But Janine Talent's going to take the lead for now. But it's a question of whether he's on the right tyres, because the rain might start to be slacking it, might start slacking it off, and that might start the track drying. If the track dries quickly, these wet tyres will become a liability. Bagavo leaving the box as Nick Zero Lick goes past him on the outside. So Nick goes back into 2nd place, gaining on Bagavo by a good few seconds there. Meanwhile, in 4th place, you got Ace Killer 15 in the McLaren MP4-12C, being chased by Football 67601, who's really on the offensive here, doing all he can to attack the back of that McLaren MP4-12C in the BMW Z4. So far these drivers have not been able to get close enough to attack, but they're doing all they can, doing everything possible to attack the moves. Maldovic is in the pits, so is Sister Flint, so is Nightfall001. Flipper Racing decides to stay out, as does Bacon Bonds. So the question now remains as to where these drivers are all going to filter out. Interestingly, Keller Ramsey is only just coming by the pit wall now. He's showing us currently 9th place, so he's well down the field. Meanwhile, Bagavo, interestingly, started to catch onto the back of Nick Zero Lick. We'll ride on board with Bagavo to see if he can close that gap down. Bagavo looking to attack the back of the Nick Zero Lick in the BMW M3. Really getting close to the edge there. And interestingly, Ace Killer, he's actually closed this pair up. Now, I get that feeling that's because he's not been in the box. Ace Killer definitely doing all he can to try and close that gap. But Bagavo in the BMW Z4 is actually falling away a little bit at the moment by the looks of things from Nick Zero Lick. Oh, Nick is in the pits. Now, oh! What's happened there? It's a bubbly swagger. No, what an accident! What happened there? But Janine Talent is in the pits as well. So Bagavo goes way back into the lead here. Janine Talent has got I'm really at a loss. I don't understand. I don't understand why they've all gone back into the pits. Did they all put fresh wet tyres on maybe? And all of a sudden the rain started to stop. Something's gone drastically wrong here. They've had to go for a 3rd stop. Janine Talent is now back in 2nd place, ahead of Nick Zero Lick, who's been caught out all badly here. And Bagavo, maybe if he got the tyre call right, he may suddenly find himself in the position to keep the lead and get an upset victory here. Only 7 laps for him to hang on Bagavo in the BMW Z4 as the rain has really slackened off. It's still falling slightly, but the bright sunshine is out here as they go out through the boots. And Bagavo in 1st place now as both Janine Talent and Nick Zero Lick went for a third pit stop. Not entirely sure why, not entirely sure what made them make that error, but that's brought them badly in position as football. 676-1 has got past Ace Killer, not sure how that happened, and Killer Ramsey in the RUF now is on the attack, going through the carousel. He's trying to get himself back towards the front. Here live and exclusive on Twitch.tv, the Select Site Racing League GT3 division on the PlayStation 4. Maldovic in 8th place has got System Flint in the Jetta G55 all over him for the foot end of the points here into the S's, getting a nice kick on the curb there, a bit of a drift from System Flint as he drags this absolute animal of a car around into the carousel, so much more confident than Maldovic V at someone in the McLaren MP4-12C. System Flint is really on it here, heading into the second part of the carousel downhill, cambered in, flashing his lights, and he looks to get a potential toe down towards the boots hairpin, and they've got all drivers trying to sell each other dummies. Maldovic under big pressure here in the McLaren, but System Flint just about hangs on, going through into the outside edge, going wide, using the extra runoff, getting as much power down as possible, as Flipper Racing and the BMW Z4 looks to the back of the pair of them, trying to catch up. Maldovic is really under pressure here, as we head into the toe, he's gone deep, and now on System Flint to get a better run, potentially, down towards Sector 3. This is a great opportunity for the Jetta G55 driver, as Maldovic goes too tight on the inside, kisses the inside curve, 2 wheels in the air, and that's putting him in the real pressure here, into the second to last corner. Maldovic under real pressure, under real trouble, as behind him, in the Jetta G55, System Flint is all out attack, going as wide as he dares towards the wall, getting into the slipstream toe, getting a brilliant run here, down towards the 90-degree opening corner of the lap. Maldovic just about resisting the pressure, but my word is System Flint trying his hardest. He's trying so hard to attack, and System Flint gets a better run at the second part of the corner, into these quick switches. Unbelievable driving here, both drivers pushing to the absolute maximum, going through the edges here, really putting the power down, daring their vehicles to throw them off, to throw them to the edge, but thus far, System Flint just not able to get close enough. Moving further on the field, Ace Killer can only look on as Killer Ramsey is side by side with Football 676-1, and that is a textbook overtake around the outside, back into 4th position. Football 676-1 might fancy a chance to get back in him here as Ace Killer 15 in the McLaren MP4-12C closes up to the back of him. Killer Ramsey looking to attack. And meanwhile, Knight 4001 way behind these guys, no real threat. But Ace Killer 15 is staring at the back of that BMW Z4. He wants that position. He wants the extra 2 points. Heading into the final corner, getting into the toe. As Killer Ramsey in the RUS starts to pull away. Ace Killer 15 really on the attack here at the back of Football 676-1. Into the penultimate few laps. Down to the 90th corner. Gets a decent ride on the inside. Oh! Too much turns on the curb, commentator's curse. He's spun around, facing the wrong way in the pit lane, and that's the end of his challenge. Football 676-1, meanwhile, going through the switches towards the S's, just not able to get close enough. Nick Zero Lit, meanwhile, he'll be furious with himself in 3rd place. Janique Talon in 2nd, has only gained a little bit of Bagavo. The lap time there was 4/10 faster, but Bagavo in the BMW Z4 against all odds. I said at the start of the stream, do not count him out. He might be a few paces off, but if the wet conditions come and the conditions get a bit trickier, he might be a dark horse, and at the moment he's out in the lead as Janique Talon tries to get close in the Mercedes SLX. Well, the BMW Z4 just starts the lap here. Janique Talon is just not close enough, going towards the line, trying to see what kind of lap time these drivers set here to give you an idea of the gap between them and how much is coming down. You see a 42.0 from Janique Talon, a 42.3 from Bagavo. It's another 0.3 of a second, but it's just not enough. Meanwhile, Nick Zero Lick in 3rd place, he really can't complain. He's put on an excellent showing for a debutant, but he'll be kicking himself having to make that extra pit stop, as will Janique Talon. Both of them have gifted this position to Bagavo. Bergamo may yet take a victory here in Excite Racing League. He's got 4 laps to survive as Football 676 number 1 looks at the back of Killer Ramsey, trying to get close, trying to attack the RUF. He wants to get himself his best finish of the season, but he's just not getting the time. Looking at the splits, Killer Ramsey at 43.6, a full second quicker than Football 676 number 1. There's Killer 15 pretty much on his own. Meanwhile, Maldovic, System Flint and 94001 are drag racing down to the 90-degree corner. System Flint gets ahead, goes wide as much as he dares here. 94001 follows him, and that might allow System Flint. Look at this, into the kink here. Unbelievable driving from the RUF of 94001 behind the Flipper Racing in the BMW Z4 is attacking. These guys are the closest battle on circuit. We may as well cover this for a while here. It's the final few laps remain. Let's look at this. Unbelievable Flipper Racing and the BMW Z4 looks up the inside of the S8. Just not close enough to attack 94001 in the RUF. But that BMW Z4 is looking a lot more planted, a lot more accurate. Flipper Racing kicks the inside, keeps the car onto 2 wheels there. Really struggling to keep that accuracy down. But this is a great opportunity going through the second part of the carousel. And they're going to be side by side potentially down to the toe. 94001 goes a little wide. That allows Flipper Racing to attack. Really getting close to the back of the RUF here. The BMW Z4 side by side, sizing him up down towards the toe corner. But 94001 is just holding on for now. Flipper Racing and the BMW C4 takes a switchback line, trying to attack, trying to get as close as he can. But again, 94001 goes wide, hits the wall, and that allows Flipper Racing to say thank you very much and take the position. But 94001, with bottom end of the points here, he may well finish there. System Flint in the GT3 G55, not really close enough to Maldovic to make any kind of attack. Ace Core 15, the McLaren MP4-12C in 6th place. Football 676, number 1 out on his own. And you got Killer Ramsey, the RUF is broken free magnificently. Nick Zero Lick is way clear. Janique Talent, meanwhile, a 41.7 for his last lap. Wow! Janique Talent is not giving up here. There's 2 laps to go, and this may yet be a final line. A 142.4, more normal, but a 42.9 for Bergamo means he's lost another half a second. As meanwhile, Nick Zero Lick sets a 141.5 to set the fastest lap of the race, which is, well, not what he needs. He's just too far behind now. 2 laps to go. Bergamo in the BMW Z4. Can he cling on? Or can Janique Talent in the Mercedes SLS make this a memorable recovery and take the front of the place position on the podium and get that win? Killer Ramsey in the RUF trying to attack as much as he dares, but he's just not far enough behind the back of Nick Zero Lick, and this is very much a battle between Bergamo and Janique Talent. So Bergamo running in first place. Behind him, Janique Talent not too far adrift. Sector ties meanwhile thus far. It's pretty even Stevens actually, because while Janique Talent was 4 tenths quicker in sector 1, a massive 3 tenths has been gained back by Bergamo in sector 2. So these 2 drivers are pushing each other along. Bergamo is coming up to the final lap, and he can probably scarcely believe his luck. He's coming up to the final lap now. Bergamo may yet take this victory, and what a memorable drive this will be from 4th on the grid. Behind him, Janique Talent is not too far behind, but he's just not close enough. A 42.3 was the lap time for Bergamo, a 41.7 for Janique Talent, another 6 tenths of a second, but he's just too far behind. But having said that, we've seen mistakes from Janique Talent. It's not yet over. Running back through the field, Maldovic has got System Flint in the GT3 G55, attacking him as much as possible. Behind them, System Flint in the BMW Z4 is coming under big pressure here. For Flipper Racing, sorry, in the BMW Z4. Then you get Night 4001, who actually has Bacon Bonds and not too far behind him. Meanwhile, that's Bagavo, who's coming up to lap the lot of them. He's just gone past Bacon Bonds and is coming up on the back of Night 4001 as he goes through the boot for the final time. There's only 4 corners left here. Oh, but Bagavo gets very close to the wall there. Just goes to show you can't give up until you cross the line. Sebastian Vettel made that mistake at Canada in 2011 and lost the race. He'd led from lights to flag to Jenson Button, and Bagavo came very close to making the same mistake there here at Watkins Glen. Goes round that curve as Night 4001 once again bashes the tyres, flashes his headlights. Bagavo, he's coming into the penultimate corner, just 1 turn left. This is unbelievable. He started 4th on the grid. He was very much the rank outsider, but out of nowhere, out of the shadows, and out of the rainstorm, Bagavo crosses the line and takes the checkered flag to get himself a memorable victory. Unique Talent will be happy to have got a 2nd place. He worked really hard for that. Meanwhile, Nick Zero Lick will be disappointed at the mistake that he made causing the extra pit stop, but he weaves left and right either way. It's a bit of an attempt, does a little drift and showboating for the fans, NASCAR style, to get himself for 3rd place on the grid. Well, a really good opportunity as Night 4001 is coming round. Killer Ramsey, who's actually the official 4th place, due to all the lap cars getting out of the way. He's had a quiet race. It's been an understated race after that mistake when he pitted too early and got himself off the podium. He'll be disappointed with 5th place, having qualified in the top 3, but his points are the same. Meanwhile, behind him, you've got Football 67611, and then we've got the guys at the back of the field as Maldovic in 10th place. So, unbelievable driving. Looking at the fastest lap times, just to give you an idea, the best lap from Bagavo was a 42.3, Janine Talon did a 41.7, a 41.4 from Nick Zero Lick. Then you had Killer Ramsey at 42.1, Football 67611, he did a 143.64. Then you had Ace Killer at 143.9, a 145.6 from Bacon Bonds was still good enough for 7th place. 8th place, sorry, even. In fact, no, we've got to wait for the official results to toggle around here because all the results are out of whack. So there we have the official result here for Garbo. What a performance from him to get himself onto the top step of the podium and manage to win a race very much against the odds in the BMW Z4. Great driving from him. Meanwhile, an absolutely fantastic job for Janine Talon to recover after that spin to get himself 2nd. Nick Zero Link, a very good debut race in 3rd. Killer Ramsey will be disappointed to have come home 4th. Football 67611 will be pleased to have made it into 5th place. Ace Killer 15, an understated but good performance to 6th. System Flint will be glad that he managed to get into 7th in that animal of a car despite the rain. And then we've got in 8th place Maldovic and the McLaren MP4-12C, Flipper Racing in 9th, and then finally Bacon Bonds 72. Well, who could say that that wasn't an exciting race? We had action throughout the field. We had rain, we had drama, we had crashes, and we also had a lot of fun. Next week we will be here at the same time for the Suzuka round at Japan before we take an official break at the Blue Ribbon events. But thank you all very much for watching Excite Racing League's PlayStation 4 GT3 division live and exclusive on Twitch.tv. I'm Pete Marcroft. Thank you all very much for watching and good night.